Hello students, this is the video and PDF for your test review for your test on Friday, and this is required this time. I don't usually require a test review, but I am going to require it this time, so you are required to watch this video and complete the PDF, the parts of the PDF that I do. I want to talk to you about this PDF because it's like 12 pages, so I want to just show you. We're going to be doing this linear review part right here. And then we're going to be doing this quadratic review part right here. The rest of it is optional. Okay, so you have some factoring practice on these 2 pages, but you also have the answers right here. So you don't have to do this part, but if you wanted to practice some factoring, you could, and you could see your answers. Then factoring with the a is greater than 1, same thing. 2 pages of that. And then there's the answers right there. So the part that we're going to be doing is the 4 pages at the beginning. So that's really your test review. And then if you wanted some extra factoring practice, you could do those last few pages. So last week we talked about linear equations and functions, and this week we did quadratic equations and functions. So last week was lines, and this week was the parabola with quadratics with the x squared term. And so the first thing we're going to look at is linear functions, and then we'll move on to quadratics. All right, so if you remember, with linear functions, we have 2 forms that we talk about, slope-intercept form and standard form. And slope-intercept form looks like this: y equals mx plus b, where m, let's put this over here, m is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. So that's where it crosses or touches, well, crosses in this case, the y-axis. And then standard form for linear equations is a times x plus b times y equals c. And we can convert from one to the other, and we're going to do a little bit of that today. All right, let's look at this first graph, number 2. So we've been given this graph, and obviously this is a screenshot, so there would be arrows at the end of this. Just want to make sure y'all understand that. If we want to look for the slope with a graph, most of the time we can just look at the graph and we can figure it out. Sometimes we need to pick 2 points, but most of the time we can find a point like this one right here. And let's see, if I move on up, this one right here looks like it's a point that I can actually determine what that point is. The problem with choosing any other point on this line is that it's hard to tell what the point is, where this one I can see that it's 4, 0. And, sorry, I forgot y'all can't see what I'm pointing to. That one's 4, 0, and this one is 0, 5. So I could use those 2 points and do the slope formula, but I don't really need to. I can just count it. I know that this is a negative slope because as I move from left to right, it falls to, it goes in a downward direction. So it's a negative slope. And what I can do, and I know y'all can't see what I'm pointing to, that's really frustrating, but if I go from this point down here at the bottom, and I count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it was up 5. And then I'm going to count left 1, 2, 3, 4. So up 5 and left 4. That's a negative direction. The 4 was a negative direction. So my slope is negative 5, 4. So I'm going to move that negative up to the numerator just because it's just kind of common practice, really. All right, the y-intercept is at 0, 5. I had already pointed that out, so I can just put that here. If I have an equation, it's a little bit different. Figure that out a little bit differently. X-intercept, I already pointed that out too. That's at 4, 0. So since I know what the slope is, and I know what the y-intercept is, it's pretty easy to write this in slope-intercept form. This is y equals negative 5/4 x plus b. So 5/4 is the slope, and I just wrote b, sorry. It's early in the morning. Plus 5. I want to fill that part in. And then it wants us to write this in standard form. So what I want to do is I want to get this part over on the left. So I'm just going to add 5/4 to both sides. And when I add 5/4 to both sides, that is 5/4 x plus 1y equals 5. So that's standard form. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at my key and I'm like, wait, no, that's not right. It is correct, but remember also in standard form, we want the A, the B, the C, and to all be whole numbers. So what you would do is if in your slope you have a fraction, what you want to do is you want to divide everything by whatever that denominator is. All right, so when I multiply this times 4/1, I get 5x. I need to multiply this times 4, so that's going to be plus 4y. And then when I multiply this times 4 equals 20. Okay, so if you get a fraction in your slope, make sure you multiply through by the denominator. Okay, number 3. We're not given the line here, we're not given the graph, but we can make the graph. With these are the ordered pairs over here. The XY table over here on the right are the ordered pairs. And we can just, we don't have to do all of them, but we could do maybe 3 of the ordered pairs. So -2, -7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's actually not even on this graph, but I can go down a little bit further and it's going to be about right there. 0, -4. Is right there. 2, -1 is here. We'll do one more. 4, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, right there. And I'm going to get my line tool. Oh, I've got a white line. Let's see. Let's do red. So about like that. Okay, what is the slope? I can probably count from one point to another, which, yeah, let's do that. So let's go from here up 1, 2, 3 over 2. So it looks like my slope is 3/2. If I wanted to, I could use 2 of these points and do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. But I don't need to if I've got the graph in front of me. Okay, the y-intercept is down here at 0, -4. The x-intercept is a fraction. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to do, let me move this a little bit so I got some more room. I want to use the slope and the y-intercept to find the x-intercept. Okay. I think first I'll do slope-intercept form. Let's do that. Y equals 3/2 x minus 4. And we'll go ahead and do standard form too. Move the 3/2 x over. That's -3/2 x plus y equals -4. And then let's multiply everything times 2. That'll be -3x plus 2y equals -8. All right. Now, let's talk about the x-intercept. What I can do here is take, I can just, you know what? Using standard form might be actually the easiest way to do it. If I set the y equal to 0, and I use the standard form because it doesn't have any fractions in it, plus 2 times 0 equals -8. Then that would be -3x equals -8. Divide by -3. X equals 8/3. So that would be my x-intercept. I think that was the easiest way to do it. Okay, let's look at the next one. It says, given the equations below, graph and answer the following questions show all work. Okay. Number 4. It's in standard form. So I think what I will do first is change it to slope-intercept form because it's a lot easier to look at and find the different parts. I'm just going to add 6x to both sides. their slope-intercept form. So that means my y-intercept is at -8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's count by 2's. Yeah. So let's make each one a 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8. -8 is going to be right here. And then my slope is 6. But remember, we're counting by 2's. So up 2, 4, 6 and over 1 is going to be about right there. And then up 2, 4, 6 over 1 is going to be there. So here's our line. All right, so y-intercept, when we wrote it in slope-intercept form, we know that the y-intercept is at 0, -8. If you just wrote -8, I wouldn't count it wrong. The x-intercept, we would set the y equal to 0. Again, so the original equation, -6x plus 0 equals -8. Divide by -6. -8 over -6 is going to be 4/3. So the x-intercept is at 4/3. We did slope-intercept form. Up above, but we'll just rewrite it right there. Is that all it asked for? Yeah, that's all it asked for. Okay. All right, this one's in standard form also. So slope-intercept form, let's see. -2y equals -3x plus 9. I need to divide by -2 to get y. So if I divide everything by -2, y equals 3/2 x plus 9/2. That's a little bit hard to find, but 9/2 is 4.5, so that's not too bad. So the y-intercept is 4.5, so we're going to count up 4 and then halfway, about right there. Our slope is 3/2. I cannot count up 3 from here, but I can go -3, -2. So I can go down 3 and left 2. That is the same as a positive slope. It's a positive slope. So down 3 and left 2, just have to kind of go between these things. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, right there. So I made a mistake when I did the y-intercept right here. The 9/2 should be a -9/2. So I'm going to change that. We don't have to change much except just to erase these points that we had put on the graph and make this a -9/2. So that means my y-intercept is down here at -4.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, down here. So now I can go up 3 and over 2, so we can kind of ignore this thing that I put here. So if we go up 3 and right 2, 1, 2, 3, right there. There we go. Okay. I was looking at my key and I'm like, wait, my line doesn't look like the key looks, so what did I do wrong? And it was that. It was the y-intercept. Okay, so that's what the line should look like. Looks like our x-intercept is at a point, let's see. Yeah, it looks like it's at 3, 0. Okay, so the y-intercept we already got. 0, -9/2. The x-intercept is at 3, 0. I can see it on the graph, so I can just fill that in. Whoops, what in the world? Okay, and then slope-intercept form, we did that already. Y equals 3/2 x minus 9/2. Okay. Okay, so the next part is changing from slope-intercept to standard form. and change, or sorry, the other way around. On number 6, it's changing slope-intercept. Sorry, standard form to slope-intercept form. It's early, and I've been up since like 3:30 this morning. Anyway, so this is in standard form, and they want us to change it to slope-intercept form. So what that means is that we need to get the x on the other side. So let's subtract x. Negative 5y equals negative x plus 10. I need the y to be a 1y. So divide by negative 5 here, here, and here. Y equals x over 5, because negative divided by negative is positive, minus 2. The slope is, oh, we want to let me rewrite this as 1/5 x. We don't want it to look like that. We want it as a fraction, 1/5 x. The slope is 1/5. The y-intercept is negative 2. And then if we set the y equal to 0, we just go back to standard form. That's easier. X minus 5 times 0 equals 10. So x equals 10 on that one. So the x-intercept is 10, 0. Y-intercept, 0, negative 2. Again, I don't care if you just write negative 2 and 10 for the x-intercept. Okay, so this one's in slope-intercept form, and they want us to change it to standard form, which means I move the x over to the left side. Subtract 1/3 x. Negative 1/3 x plus y equals 2. I can't leave this 1/3. I need, or excuse me, the negative 1/3. I think either multiply times 3 or negative 3, but let's multiply times negative 3. So that's going to be x plus, or excuse me, minus, let's do minus 3y equals negative 6. So this is standard form. And the x-intercept was already in, slope-intercept form, so the x-intercept was 2. I'm sorry, the y-intercept was 2. They don't ask us for the slope, that's fine. So let's go over here to the standard form and set this y equal to 0. That's how you find the x-intercept. Just plug in a 0 for y. X equals negative 6, or x, yeah, the x-intercept equals negative 6. Numbers 8 and 9, we actually did not do anything like this last week, so we are going to mark these out. So go ahead and mark out 8 and 9. Okay, let's look at our next section. So our next section starts with our quadratic review. And what we're doing in numbers 1 through 9 is we are converting from form to form. So let's just review the 3 forms first of all. So up here at the top, let's write our 3 forms. We had standard form. And that looks like this. Y equals a times x squared plus b times x plus c. Okay, we also have factored form or intercept form. You might see this called intercept or factored form. What that means is it shows the factors. Like these right here, 1, 2, and 3. These are all in factored form or intercept form. So instead of writing this with like the B and the C and the A or the H and the K, let's just do an example. X or Y equals, let's say, x plus 3 times x minus 1, where negative 3 and positive 1 are the zeros or the roots. So that's what factored form looks like. And then the last one we did was vertex form, which is y equals, we have our a value, and then we have x minus h plus Okay, so those are the three forms that we did, and the last lesson was converting from one form to another. And that's what we're doing for 1 through 9. Let me get a different color here. Okay, so to convert from factored form to standard form, all you really do is you multiply the factors together. Okay, so number 1, we're going to multiply x plus 5 times x minus 3. And we can use box method if we want. We can use FOIL, whatever's easier for you, do that. So I'm going to put x plus 5 up here and x minus 3 here, and then fill in these boxes with the products. So then this is going to be y equals x squared, and remember you need to combine these two, plus 2x minus 15. So that is standard form, okay? I'll show you about converting to vertex form because the easiest way to do it is to use Desmos. All right, so this one right here, number 2, we're going to multiply the x plus 6 times x plus 10 first, and we're going to keep that 1/2. So x plus 6 times x plus 10 is x squared plus 16x plus 60. And then we're going to multiply that 1/2 in. Remember, 1/2 means divide by 2. So plus 8x plus 30 would be standard form for that one. Check my key just to make sure I did it right. Yep. Okay, number 3. Number 3 is in vertex form, but we can still, we can still multiply x plus 3 times x plus 3 because this part right here, that means x plus 3 times itself. And x plus 3 times itself is x squared plus 6x plus 9. Still got that plus 5 out there. I need to hang on to that until I multiply that 2 into the parentheses. That's 2x squared plus 12x plus 18 plus 5. Now I can add the 18 and the 5 together. Let's put y equals plus 23. Okay. So those are all in standard form now. The next section gives us standard form and wants us to convert to intercept form. That means convert to factored form. That means factor what you see in front of you. So number 4, x squared plus 3x plus 2, that factors to x plus 2, x plus 1. Now I want to talk to you again about the roots. The roots or zeros come from taking each of these factors and setting it up equal to 0. X plus 2 equals 0, so x equals -2. And you don't have to do this on this part. I just want to kind of show it to you again. X plus 1 equals 0, so x would equal -1. So my roots, if you're asked, what are your roots? What are your zeros? What are your x-intercepts? That would be -2 and -1. Do not put that in parentheses because that would be an ordered pair and that would be incorrect. Okay, the next one, we need to write this in factored form. I know that -6 will divide into all of these, and I would really like to get just the x squared by itself. So I'm going to take out a -6 first. Plus 4x. Sorry, that should be minus 4x because I'm dividing by negative. So minus 4x minus, and this is a 32. So now I can factor the part that's in parentheses. It's a lot easier to do. What is that going to be? -32. That's going to be 8 and 4. X minus 8. X plus 4. Let me just check my key. Yes, that is correct. Okay, so now this is in factored or intercept form. All right, so for the next one, what I would do first is divide by 1/3. Okay, so I want you to think about this. Dividing by 1/3 means multiplying times 3. So I'm going to multiply everything times 3 on the right side. It doesn't change the value of it at all. That gives me an x squared plus 6x plus 9. And then when I factor that, I get x plus 3 times x plus 3. Oh, sorry, I got to include my 1/3 out here because I took that out. So that should have been right there too. Okay, there we go. So my A value is 1/3. In the last section, we are to write these in vertex form. So they are in both standard and factored, it looks like. Yep. Let me show you something. What you can do on this type of problem is go over to Desmos, and I had graphed something in here already. You move this over so you can see it. Go over to Desmos, and let me grab my sheet so I know what my function is. Type it in Desmos. You can type in y equals, you don't have to. Y equals, my first one was x squared. Click x, shift 6, and then a 2, and that's going to give you that x squared. Now click tab, and it'll bring it back down. Plus 12x plus 38. Oops, not 39, 38. There's my parabola. Where is my vertex? My vertex is what I'm looking for because I need to write it in vertex form. So my vertex is -6 and 2. So let's go back over here. Vertex, -6, 2. Just make a note of it. Okay, so remember vertex form is y equals, and then in parentheses you have x, and then you take the opposite of your x value. So x plus 6, and then you have the squared right here. And then your y value just goes out here plus 2. That's it. Look, there are other ways we can do this. You have to use completing the square, which I don't really feel like doing right now. It's a whole lot easier to use Desmos. And you can use Desmos on your exam. So, I'll tell you again, I've said this before. If you can use Desmos, use it. Okay, so let's look at number 8 on Desmos. So to make this one invisible, I'm going to just click on the little circle over there, and I'm going to type my next one in the next line. Okay, so this one is y equals, and you can type these in any form, and it will graph it. X plus 6, x minus 2. All right, go find the vertex. Vertex is at -2, -16. -2, -16, and y equals x plus 2, opposite, remember, and then minus 16. That's it. All right, last one. Last one's a little bit different because it does have an a value of 5, so we need to just remember to make sure that we get that in there. Okay. You don't have to enter y equals. The only time you have to enter y equals is if it's just y equals 3 or y equals 0 or whatever. Okay, 5x squared minus 30x plus 16. Okay, that one's way down there. My vertex is at 3, -29. Don't forget if there's an a value. So 3, -29 is the vertex, but don't forget, if you have this a value right here, you have to leave that in there. So y equals 5 times x minus 3, quantity squared, minus 29. So that is the easiest way to do vertex form without having to complete the square. What else do we have? Graph and complete the table with the given information. So here's what I would have you do on these also. I would have you go over to Desmos again. Let me find my sheet with these. Graph them on Desmos, and then you can copy and paste the picture. I'll show you how I do that. Now, I have a snipping tool, and it's a little bit different than what you might have on your Chromebook. So let me type this one in. -2x times x plus 4. Okay, this is in factored form. And I need to go find the vertex. I'm going to click on the vertex. I'm going to click on the x-intercepts, and this x-intercept happens to also be the y-intercept. I'm going to use my snipping tool and take a screenshot of this, and as soon as I do that, it actually copies to my clipboard, and then I come back over here and click Control V, and it actually pastes. And so you can do that. If you do your screenshot, you can paste the copy of the Desmos graph instead of having to graph it. All right, so with this, I'm going to make this smaller. So with this, we're actually, we actually clicked on the x-intercepts and the y-intercepts. So let's put some arrows down here. So let's see here. X-intercepts. X-intercepts were at -4 and 0. And 0. The vertex was -2, 8. I want you to remember the axis of symmetry always matches the x value in the vertex. X equals -2. The y-intercept was also at 0. You can do 0, 0, or just 0. It opens down. And if we look back up here, it was a -2. So we know it opens down. Maximum or minimum, it has a maximum. And you can just circle that. The domain on all parabola is all real numbers, and the range is going to match the y value. So you're going to have y and an 8. Okay, so is it under the 8? Here's that 8 line right here, and the whole graph is underneath it, so that's less than. Sorry, less than or equal to. Okay, I want you to pause your video. I want you to try number 11, type it in Desmos, paste a picture if you want, or you can sketch the graph and then do all these key features and come back and check and see if you got them right. Okay, hopefully you took a minute to graph this on Desmos and sketch it, and you pasted it or sketched it here, and you see the answers to the key features down at the bottom, so you can check yours. I did do the decimal numbers for the vertex. If you got fractions, -1.5, -6 1/4, that's fine. Okay, we have 2 more problems. If you missed the live lesson from Wednesday, October 28th, you might want to go back and watch that, because that's where I actually did the instruction for this type of problem. Let me show you how you would do that. You would go to Google, and I can move this over. As long as you're signed into your school email, you go to your apps, go to calendar. You should see down here at the bottom, 4th period, or Math 2 live lesson, 2:45 on the 28th. You won't see these right here, the 9:30 and the 11, because these are my other classes, but you should see the 2:45 because everybody in this class is invited to that live lesson. So you go to that live lesson, and there will be a movie link right here. Let me show you on, I'll just show you on Mondays. So every time I record a live lesson or a live meeting on Google Meet, there's this movie link on the calendar. And then this is the chat link, not that you really need that, but there's the movie link right here. So you can click on that and watch that instruction from Wednesday. Okay, coming back over here. Get these so we can see them a little bit better. Okay, so this is telling us to write a quadratic in intercept form. So we want to look at what we've been given. We've been given points -6, 0, 1, 0, and -4, -14. So what we know about that is that this and this are x-intercepts. Okay, so that means I have roots, or zeros, x-intercepts are all called the same thing, at -6 and 1. Well, what that means is that my factors are going to be the opposite of those numbers. So I'm going to have factors of x plus 6 and x minus 1. I also have this a value. Okay, so I don't know what it is yet, so I'm going to write it like this at first. What I also see that they've given me is they've given me another ordered pair with an X value and a Y value. So if I take that ordered pair, and I'm going to do these in different colors. Let's say I take the ordered pair and I plug in a -14 for the Y, and I plug in a -4 everywhere I see an X, then I can solve for A, because solving an equation means you got one unknown. You can't solve an equation with a Y, an A, and an X unknown. So I wouldn't be able to do that. But if I'm going to plug in a -14 right here, leave my A, and then I'm going to plug in a -4 and a -4. And then I'm going to solve for A. So the first thing I need to do is I need to do the math in these parentheses. Bring these down. -4 plus 6 is 2. -4 plus -1 is -5. Okay, getting there. -14 equals A times -10. Okay, so this is the same as -10A equals -14. So what do I do now? I divide by -10. A equals, let's see, I'm just going to have to simplify this fraction, and that's going to be 7/5. So now the last thing I do is I rewrite the whole thing one more time using this. I rewrite this, but instead of writing an A, what I'll do is I'll put this in place of the A. And then I've got my equation. Y equals 7/5, because that's my A, X plus 6, X minus 1. So this is in intercept form. Is that what it asked me to leave it in? It did. It asked me to leave it in intercept form. The next one they're asking me for vertex form. So we'll have to get intercept form and then we'll convert it. Oh, actually, no, we won't, because it gives us the vertex. That's good. Okay, so this one we're given the vertex. Let's just write Y equals A. We don't know what the A value is again. We know the vertex though, so we can fill in X plus 4 squared and then plus 9. We're also given another point. Just like on the other one, I've been given an X value, so I'll plug in there, and a Y value. So I'll plug that in there and I'll solve for A. 3 equals A times -10 plus 4 squared plus 9. Okay, so we just do the math and solve for A. So 3 equals A. All right, so let's see, -10 plus 4 is -6. -6 squared is 36. And then I've got this plus 9 out here. Now, this is just like writing 3 equals 36A plus 9. I have to subtract 9 on both sides. Don't get this mixed up. Don't divide by -6. You're going to divide by the coefficient of A. So divide by 36. Even if it's a fraction, it doesn't matter. So A equals, all right, -6 over 36 is -1/6. Let me just double check here. Yes, that is the A value. So now I need to rewrite the entire thing, which is, we're going to rewrite, let me circle that because I usually put a box around my final answer. We're going to rewrite this, Y equals, and we're going to plug in the A value that we got. And then everything else is the same as it is up there in the circle. All right, so there is our vertex form with our A value. And that's it. So if you got what we did here, then you're going to be okay on the test. Again, if you want some extra factoring practice, you're welcome to do the ones down here at the bottom. You don't have to. They're not required. But you've got your answers underneath them if you wanted to practice that.